Thank you. So good evening, everyone. With the time being 6 p.m. on Tuesday, August 24th, 2021, I will call this meeting of the Webster School Committee to order. As a reminder, there were changes issued by Governor Baker that modified the open meeting law requirements given the COVID-19 pandemic. Certain COVID-19 measures that were adopted during the state of emergency have been extended, including those that allow public bodies to conduct meetings in a virtual forum, as long as the public has access to the meeting. This meeting's been posted on the district website with a Zoom link allowing the public to join. As another reminder, this meeting is being recorded, both audio and video, and will be posted on the district website. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the July 13th, July 27th, and August 13th minutes. If we have any discussion about these minutes, we can take them individually. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you poll the committee, please?
Member Naprata,
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Member Millet,
Yes, except for July 13th. I was not at the meeting.
and Chair Siddiqui.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda, we're actually going to take our agenda items out of order. We're going to move into the business manager report. Good evening, Mrs. Transley.
Good evening. Hi. It's nice to see everybody. I hope everybody's had a great summer. We're going to jump right into item 1, the school building committee update. The committee hasn't met in July or August. We had a couple months off.
Come see me.
We're waiting for tomorrow, actually, August 25th, we will be meeting with the MSBA. Dr. Gogan and I have a 10 o'clock meeting to looking for final approval of our PSR report. So in the meantime, we've just been corresponding with the MSBA, submitting in some final documentation. Tomorrow is the final approval from them to move to the next stage, which we're excited to enter. The feedback that we've gotten from the MSBA has been very good, and we actually know there is some excitement about this project on the MSBA's end. They have recently reached out and they look to do a feature of a building. The MSBA does projects that they feature and they track along, and they do professional development in sessions with other school districts about projects, what they've learned, what they've done, and they're looking to possibly feature Bartlett as one of their projects. So we're excited about that. Dr. Gogan will be setting up a meeting for us to discuss the initial thoughts about that project and what it entails. But we both discussed it and we are all in with that, and we think it's a perfect opportunity. They don't get many chances to do a big renovation project like this, so we're excited about that. So we anticipate some good news tomorrow. After that, we will be holding a building committee meeting, I'm sure, in September, and you will be getting some more feedback then. Are there any questions in regards to the project?
Very exciting.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is summer projects. We have been extremely busy throughout the summer getting our buildings ready and getting projects done. I just want to give a shout out, and I know we have one of our custodians on the meeting tonight, and I hope he shares with the rest of his team. They deserve a huge thank you, and we appreciate all their hard work. They have been working diligently this summer, making sure the buildings are ready, taking things out of rooms, putting things back, moving rooms around, fixing things, updating. We're getting deliveries upon deliveries, and they always smile, they always greet you warmly, they're always anything they can do to help, so I appreciate the hard work that they've done, and I hope they know that. With Park Ave, we've had a couple projects going on there. The phone system was put in and installed, so that's just about complete. The last component we need to test is the E911 feature. If you remember, I told you that we will now have the capability of doing 911 dialing from the classroom. and dispatch will get what room the call actually came from. So we're going to schedule some testing with our communications center director, Mr. Greg Linsky, over the next couple weeks and make sure everything's routing properly, and we'll finish that project up. So we're excited about that. The movers also came for Park Ave. They unloaded, we had 4 trailers. They unloaded 2.5 of the trailers and brought all the furniture back into Park Ave. So they're happy about that. The custodians were happy about that as the movers came and put all of it back in the classroom. Initially, the custodians were the ones who took it all out of the classrooms and put it in the gymnasium. So this time they had a little extra help putting it back in place, but we're excited about that. The only thing that we couldn't bring back in were the tables, the cafeteria tables. We have 25 of them. And as you know, we're still trying to maintain some distancing in the cafeteria, being 3 feet apart without our masks on, so we're not able to bring those tables in. So I'm looking for an alternate solution for storage for them. The trailers were short-term. They were to get us through the end of the school year, and we were hoping by the start of the school year we could put 100% of everything back. And we haven't been able to do that. So I'm trying to work with a long-term solution for that. I've been working with town administrator, seeing if we have anything in the community that we could store them that's weather tight and heated, so we won't have anything ruined. That's my biggest fear at this point. Those trailers are not meant for long-term storage. They get hot and cold, and it's not good for the furniture. It causes swelling. So I'm working on that. Any questions on the move at Park Ave? No. Okay. For middle school, we had a few projects going on there. I hope somebody has taken a ride by and maybe seen the new landscaping over at the middle school. It has been spruced up quite a bit. We pulled out a lot of the overgrown brush, put some sod down, put some mulch down, and cleaned up the entire front. So now you can actually see the facade of the building, and what a pretty building it is. And it also gives a little more area for teachers if they want to take students outside for any outdoor learning spaces. We're looking at putting some benches. We also have a garden going in. We're expanding that through the grant we received from Miss Nyland. So we're looking on expanding and having a couple more beds put in over there. So if you have an opportunity, take a ride through the middle school lot. It looks great over there. In addition to the landscaping, we were also able to complete our paving project. I need to give a big shout out to Kenny Pizzetti from the town and his team. As always, they come in and do great work. They only charge the school department. We pay for the product. They do all the labor and handle everything for us. And they came in line. So I just want to give them a big thanks. So if you pull into that parking lot, it looks like it did in 2005. It's so pretty, and it's just exciting. And I hope staff feel that when they come back. It looks like a new building. We had new teacher orientation today, and that was a comment from one of the new teachers. She said, that building looks brand new. It looked like it was just open last year. And I explained that we take a lot of pride in our buildings, and we do our best to maintain. So the new landscaping and the paving is going to be a lot easier for us to maintain and do the upkeep. So hopefully it looks like this every year moving forward. So we're excited about that. We still are waiting for the smart boards to arrive. We were hoping to have them installed over the summer, but there's a delay. Not so much terribly on the smart boards, but there's a delay with all technology coming in. So that's slated to happen in October. And we're also installing new shades in the classrooms over at the middle school. We just got confirmation those are coming in. They might be installed this Thursday or Friday. If not, it's going to happen sometime within the next week or two. It all depends on when we could receive them. So, but they're on their way. They'll be up within the next couple of weeks, and the middle school's looking in tip-top shape. And then what we had going on at the high school, we had Charter come in and complete some internet upgrade for us. As you know, last year when we were COVID, we had upgraded our solutions. We were running a gig internet through the buildings, but some of the settings and equipment were temporary equipment. We had to purchase some additional stuff, so that's been purchased. Charter came out and installed, and I need to thank my tech team for that. That installation can't happen during the day. We're on the same line with the hospital. So in order for us to do any kind of upgrades like that, they have to get permission from the hospital to actually have downtime. So that's done between 12 and 6 in the morning. So he's done a couple all-nighters to make sure that equipment was installed overnight and operational. And everything's been updated in our equipment, so we anticipate no issues with any kind of technology or speeds being slow. We are in really good shape there. On the technology side of things, we are still waiting for technology to come in. Luckily, our Chromebooks are in. We have plenty of devices for our students, and all of our teachers currently have devices, which is great news. We are waiting for some laptops for our Innovative Pathways program, and we are waiting for additional teacher laptops. We always keep a stock on hand in case something dies, a computer breaks or something, that we have a replacement. We are actually down to 2 replacement computers for teachers. So hopefully we have no issues there. What's happening is it's everywhere. There's the chip shortage. We were notified that some of the computers we had ordered, the chips weren't coming in, so they decided to discontinue that model. They're going to ship us the new model. Well, the new model is an FY22 model, and it's not expected till after the first of the year. So we're trying to look for alternate devices there. We're being a little proactive. What we did is we took the Park Ave computers that we replaced last year. We had saved those, and we're upgrading some of them, putting in some different drives in them and doing our best to upgrade those. So at least we'll have surplus backup computers if needed. It won't be like a new computer, but it's going to be certainly functional enough for them to do what they need to do. But we are really in good shape for the opening of school. We're ready. We're excited. The buildings look great. The outside of the buildings is really cleaned up a lot. I am having a little work done. I forgot to mention at Park Ave in the entryway. We're having a company come in and clean that up and put some fresh mulch down. So that should be done before the start of school also. So I hope you've driven through and taken a look, and we'll be happy with the way things look for the start of school. Are there any questions on my projects? No? Okay, hearing none, I'll move on. The next item I have is our FY21 budget closeout. In your packet, you'll see a copy of the budget I had in there. I'm not going to go through it line by line. It still is not a complete budget. It's still a work in progress. There's still some things that need to be journaled. I can give you an example if you'd like on page 4, where there is a maintenance line. So there's a COVID maintenance line. So what was happening is with the budget, there was a journal done, and it shows that there's a balance in that line of approximately $24,000. That line does not actually have a balance. That line is 0. That amount there was a journal that should have been posted to the prior year, and instead it was posted to FY21. So those adjustments need to be made behind the scenes by the town accountant, and he's going to take care of those. And once we're certain we have everything journaled and fixed and gone through, we'll finish cleaning up the budget and, finish our closeout. But you can see by the balance, there's still a sizable balance left of about $656,000. It's probably going to be close to $600,000 by the time we're done and those journals are done. That might be going back to the town. So are there any questions there? No? Okay, great. In my other updates, I have a few things here. I did want to talk a little bit about food service and just let families know and let our parents know. As we start the new school year, we typically post our menus at the beginning of the month. They're on our website for our families. And then we try not to make any deviations from our menus because we know there are a lot of students with allergies or issues, and we want to make sure our parents know what's being served every day so they can plan accordingly. But we have been getting a lot of notifications from our distributors in shortages, not only with perishable foods, but with non-perishable foods, as far as paper goods and stuff like that. So we were stocked up with plenty of paper goods that we're using. They've even asked schools to lessen their orders and to increase, so they're not delivering as much because they're having trouble getting drivers also, in addition to the shortages. Unfortunately, many school districts don't have the luxury to do that, as our storage space is minimal, which is why we're getting food in 3 times a week. So I just want parents to be aware that we might see an increase in substitutions this year. There may be days where, we might have pizza or chicken sandwich or something on the menu, and then the kids are going to come to school and they're going to find that we substituted something for that. We're not able to serve that. We try and let as much notice as we can, but it just might not be able to happen as we plan for the month, but then our deliveries come in weekly and a couple times a week. So we'll try and post any changes if we have them ahead of time. We'll try and post them on the school district website on the food service page. We had put a couple notes there this summer of items that changed, but we can't always guarantee. We don't always know right away when we're going to get that until that week. So just keep checking. Parents keep checking the food. It might, be a good idea for them to check a little, maybe weekly instead of just printing it out once a month and hanging it on the fridge. Just keep looking back for any alternates that are up there. And then the other item I wanted parents to know about is our transportation routes. We're posted on our website, so they're all updated. We are going to be issuing bus passes again this year. The first week of school, we're not going to turn anybody away. Everybody's going to be allowed to ride the bus the first week of school. But we have asked the secretaries to hand out the transportation passes because that really helped with less confusion of what buses the kids were on, or kids trying to maybe get on a friend's bus and go home, making sure people were going to the right places. And they were eligible for the buses. So it was, COVID, there were highlights of COVID. This was one of them. Bus passing really helped us keep things organized, and we're going to do that this year. So I don't want parents to panic if they don't get a pass in the mail. Bus lists were just completed. We just sent the lists over to the school. They're going to be printing up bus passes when kids come in. I don't think they're mailing them out. I think they'll hand them out to the students right away. The first week of school, and then from there on we'll progress, and kids will have to show their bus passes when they're getting on and off the bus. Are there any questions about that? Well, hearing no questions, that concludes my report. Thank you so much. It was great seeing you, and it feels good to get back into a regular routine with kids coming back next week. We're excited about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Perangeli. I also would just like to extend my thanks to all of the custodians, the technology staff, the food service staff. It sounds like they're doing a little more adjustments than even is typical. And also the office and support staff for all they're doing behind the scenes to get us ready for the school year. And a warm welcome to all the new teachers that have just joined the district for this year. And welcome back all our amazing returning teachers. I'm sure they've already been in their rooms prepping and getting things situated for when our students come back next week. So thanks to everybody for all you're doing to get us ready for the school year. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Good evening, Dr. Gogan.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize for my tardiness. I had a flat tire tonight on my way home. But when life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. So I made it. Thank you, Mrs. Perangeli, for going first. And I'll just jump off and say that it's been a very busy and exciting summer prepping for a school year. We're really looking forward to having our teachers come back tomorrow. We've had a wonderful new teacher orientation day yesterday and today. one of the most positive ones that I've ever experienced in my tenure over in Webster. We have a great group of new teachers coming, and their feedback was so positive to us, and we were complimenting them on how much positive energy they were bringing into the new year. So I'm sure everyone's going to be pleased to meet them. I'm going to start with my personnel update. We've been extremely busy at central office hiring new staff. I'm pleased to introduce that we've hired Lorinda Allen as our Park Avenue assistant principal and Ronald Springer, our Webster Middle School assistant principal. When we meet in person, I'll be inviting them to introduce you to them in person. For staff, we've hired Alicia Coakley as a preschool teacher, Michelle Verono as a preschool teacher, Megan Daniels as a paraprofessional at Webster Middle School, Emily Tatro as our Park Avenue float substitute, Brian Riley as our Webster Middle School float substitute, and he was in that position last year, and Jessica Baroque as our reading specialist over at Webster Middle School. We've also hired Jacob Murphy as a social studies teacher over at Bartlett High School, Rebecca Passery as our ELL Park Avenue teacher, John Haley as our Bartlett High School ELL teacher, Lynn Benoit as a paraprofessional at Webster Middle School, Jennifer Burns as a grade 6 ELA and social studies teacher at Webster Middle School, and Ava Landry as the assistant director for curriculum instruction for adult education. We have received resignations from Nicole Fortin, a Webster Middle School paraprofessional, and Peter Williams, the Webster Middle School paraprofessional, and Jessica Verdrulio as an assistant cook at Park Avenue. With regards to the reopening of school, there's been a lot of things going on that you may or may not be aware of. I want to give a shout out to the Bartlett High School staff. They did a wonderful job with running a ninth grade orientation and barbecue on August 17th. It was a really successful event. Some parents attended, but the students had a scavenger hunt throughout the building as a way to kind of find new places and get to know their building, and that was really fun. We ate lunch outside, and I want to again give a shout out to our wonderful cafeteria staff. Lunch was absolutely delicious. We had hamburgers and hot dogs and homemade macaroni salad, and it really felt like home. So it was a real nice way to see kids and get them in the building. There are some pictures in your report so you can see what they were doing for the scavenger hunts. Also, grade 5 did an orientation, an open house for students that had not been in the building, and that was very successful. Parents and students came in person to meet some of the staff who could attend over at Webster Middle School and got to run around the building and see things that they had never seen. They did raffle off some gift prizes for students. So I think Mrs. Peterson had told me everyone came in looking very nervous, but when they all left, everybody was smiling. So that was a nice event. And I know Park Ave is scheduling a meet and greet this week for families to come in after school to do sort of the same thing, to make sure that kids who need to or want to have a quick tour can do that. Our office has been extremely busy. We've had a series of professional development opportunities happening for the district leaders. We had a summit, but we've also had ongoing professional development, which I've shared with you around our literacy reset. And a lot of our teachers have worked together collaboratively to do some curriculum alignment. I want to give a shout out to Jill Chapdelaine for working really closely with our teachers to get them to take the initiatives to do some of this work so that the school year ahead of us is smoother. You know, again, I started by talking a little bit about our new teacher orientation. The momentum in the room with the new teachers was truly exciting for everybody. So we want that kind of air to follow us through this school year. So I did share the agenda with us today. Mrs. Perangela and I had the pleasure of taking the new teachers through the town on a bus. And it was really fun to be on the bus and driving through Webster and sharing all the wonderful things about our community and getting people to see what our community is about. Everyone enjoyed that very much. And tomorrow, we hit the ground running with welcoming our teachers back. We are doing things a little differently this year because we have an MSBA meeting scheduled at 10 o'clock. So our district convocation will be pushed to Friday, but our very thorough professional development and time for teachers to be working with principals on mandated trainings and getting acclimated into the building and giving our teachers time to set up their rooms fills the 3 days. You will see it's very comprehensive when you take a look at that. Any questions? I know I'm jumping in late and probably moving a little quickly. Any questions before I move on with more info? Okay. So I also have shared with you the preparation for the new school at previous meetings for our COVID safety. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the agenda. The guidance for music has come from the Massachusetts Music Educators Association, and that has been shared with principals to share with their teachers. We're hoping to have whatever we can in the realm of normal this year. So we will be allowing kids to play music and allowing kids to sing and following the guidelines that we need to. As you know, or may not know, today the Board of Education held a vote and the Commissioner of Education received support from his board to mandate mask wearing for all districts through October 1st. And I know that's going to be discussed later on in the agenda. I just want to point out that with the Commissioner making remote learning not count, I want to just be clear to the school committee and to the community that, you know, we certainly are doing our best to, and we're aiming for a normal year. And if in fact kids get COVID or are quarantined, we will not be offering synchronous learning. I just want to be clear about that. Our teachers will be teaching live in person. And if someone is out for an extended period, teachers and parents and students will work together to do the makeup work. Some kids may be on quarantine and be able to do stuff, assignments independently at home, and some may not. So it will be dealt with on an individual basis, and the principals will manage that with the teachers. In an effort to be proactive, I have scheduled another free vaccination clinic for students over 12. They will need parent permission or staff or community members. That clinic will be set up on September 15th and October 6th. That's being organized by the Transformative Health Solutions. And permission slips, once they give them to us, will be generated and sent out, and we will be doing some PR around that so our entire community can access this free vaccination clinic. As an open house update, again, normal is our aim this year. We are moving back to in-person open houses at all 3 of our schools. And as a sports update, things are up and running. And Tony Peranto's very happy. Bartlett High School football started in August, on August 20th, August 23rd. All the other sports at Bartlett, boys and girls soccer, boys and girls cross country, golf, volleyball, and fall cheerleading have started. Webster Middle School football starts on August 30th, along with the boys and girls soccer and cross country. Our Real Madrid program will be up and running this year. That will be basketball in the fall with soccer later in the year. And that again is a program for second language learner students only, sponsored by the Real Madrid and Mafre. And on September 2nd, the athletic department will host their annual chemical night. And we strongly encourage all parents to come with their students to that night. It's a very important night for all of our athletes. Any questions before I move on to other updates? I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but it's been a very busy summer. Other updates, we will be having our first CPAC meeting, and that will be held in person on Monday, September 27th at 6 p.m. This is a general meeting with the organization of the CPAC group, followed by a mandated training of the basic rights in special education. And that will start at 6:30, that piece. I'm pleased to let you know, well, before I say that, I just want to reiterate that I believe we have a dynamite team in our entire district, from our central office down to our cafeteria, to our custodians, to our teachers. And every single person in our district works really hard to bring programs or new things to our district. So I'm pleased to let you know that Ellen Nyland has applied and has been awarded the Farm to School Turnkey Grant. This is a grant that will help us expand our farm to school programming. Peter Germano has been hired through Ellen as the part-time farm to school coordinator, and that is part of that grant and part of that program. So some really interesting things will be coming from that. I'm also pleased to announce that Mr. Thomas and our consultant for Innovative Pathways have applied and received the Innovation Pathways Implementation Grant to continue our work on building our pathway programs. And I believe I've mentioned this, but I want to mention it again. We have been awarded $42,000 for the GLEAM grant, and this GLEAM grant will support the middle school and the high school with implementing their research-based literacy curriculum. And we're truly excited about all three of those grants and doing this work. We have also been very busy working on, we have received the feedback from the MSBA on the Bartlett preferred schematic design. So we've been working with our OPM and our designer on answering some questions. And tomorrow's our big meeting with them. So we're looking forward to that. I have shared with you a letter of support from State Representative Joe McKenna and Senator Ryan Fatman to support the work that we're doing in our project. And I was recently contacted by the MSBA, and we should be very proud of the work that we're doing. They have reached out and they would love to spotlight the Bartlett High School renovation project. They're going to be working with me on that in their fall story of a building project. So they're going to highlight us specifically because we're renovating a building and we're showing that we are trying to reduce our carbon efforts and we're reusing and recycling some of the existing materials. So that doesn't often happen at MSBA. So I had a very lengthy conversation with them today. So there'll be more information on that. So I'm proud to say they selected us and we'll be highlighted. And the other thing I wanted to add was that we've been very busy. I think I've said that 3 times at central office. And I want to give a shout out to Desiree Moniz, Lori Marazzo, and Margarita Nieves for their work around registering new students. It's been an ongoing process such that we have to have people come and make appointments. So we are seeing a lot of kids come back to Webster. We are seeing some increasing students coming from other communities for school choice where we have openings. So those are all good signs. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Gogan. Are there questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, we'll move into new business. The next item on the agenda is the acceptance of a donation in the amount of $5,000 to Park Avenue Elementary School from Long Subaru.
This donation was given to us. Long Subaru partnered with Adopt a Classroom, and 10 teachers at Park Ave are going to be selected to spend about $500 of, they get to pick their supplies from a place, and they'll be able to independently pick their $500 worth of supplies, and all of the purchases will be approved by our principal and then our business manager. But our new assistant principal did a really cool thing to select the 10 teachers. She put all their names on a virtual wheel of fortune and selected the teachers' names. So I don't have their names with me to share with you, but 10 teachers will be granted materials to spend, and those will go right into the classroom for our students. And once again, I just want to thank Long Subaru. They've been a longstanding donor for Park Avenue School with backpacks and other supplies. So we're very grateful for their ongoing support.
Thank you, Dr. Gogan. Are there any questions or comments from the committee about this donation? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept this donation as presented.
So moved.
Second,
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you pull the committee, please?
Member Naprata,
Yes.
Member Millet,
yes,
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui.
Yes, the motion passes. And on behalf of the school committee, I'd like to thank Long Subaru for their continued support of Park Avenue Elementary School. The next item on the agenda is the approval of surplus items, outdated and miscellaneous books from Webster Middle School and the Adult Education Program. Ms. Frangeli?
Thank you. In your packet, you should have received 2 lists for outdated materials from the middle school and the adult ed program. And we're asking you to declare them surplus and we'll dispose of them accordingly within Chapter 30B.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the committee?
through the chair.
Yes, Ms. Millett?
I have a question. I noticed some of the items are new. What happens to these items? There were new books.
So we'll check with any local departments first within the community, and then we can always reach out to any book distributors. Some of them will buy back, or we can put them for sale.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Millett. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to declare the surplus and outdated items and books from Webster Middle School and the Adult Education Program, and direct the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance to auction off, donate, or otherwise recycle or dispose of these materials in conjunction with the provisions of Mass General Law 30B.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you pull the committee, please?
Member Millet,
Yes.
Member Naprata,
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the employee handbook. Dr. Gogan?
Thank you. The employee handbook for the Webster Public School has been around for a while, and we have recently had our attorney take a peek at it, and we've added some things to it. An employee handbook is really just a list of protocols that we expect employees to follow. And certainly will point out that the WEA collective bargaining unit trumps an employee handbook if there's any kind of conflict. We do not believe there's any conflict. So there's some minor changes that have been made in front of you. They include updated staff, current school committee members, information about our Ready sub, information that is if a staff member is arrested that they need to inform the superintendent. There's some additional ethical behavior information and stuff about our EAP, Employee Assistance Program, to keep people informed about that. There's also stuff about attendance and payroll, dress code. And so there's a cheat sheet listed for you. There's some more information on harassment and anti-harassment, specifically what to do, who to go to, what our investigation processes are. So it's a procedural information for our staff so they're informed and supported.
Thank you, Dr. Gogan. Are there any questions or comments from the committee?
Through the chair.
Yes, Ms. Millett?
I do have a comment. I'm very concerned that some of these changes could lead to contractual or legal issues. There's some huge question marks about some of the things that are in that handbook. And I think we should table approving it until parties can get together and discuss those.
Okay,
I will say that I have shared, at the request of the WEA president, I have shared these changes. And typically, an employee handbook is not a negotiated item. And I had asked for her to read it and let us know if she thought anything was a change in working condition. We didn't see anything as a change in working condition, but certainly the school committee can table it and begin to negotiate an employee handbook if they so choose. But I will state that typically an employee handbook is not something that's negotiated. It's sort of managerial rights and procedures. And here's where you go for your paycheck. Here's what you do if you feel like you're being harassed. Here's our bullying. Here's some protocols around professionalism. But I will leave that up to the committee to decide.
Through the chair,
Well, I think that there are some questionable legal ramifications that I don't think the committee or myself, being part of the committee, would like to see happen. There are some changes in there that are questionable, dealing with should they be in a contract and not a handbook, or just legal issues that I think need further discussion. I'm not saying they should be out, but I think they need further discussion.
thank you, Ms. Millett. Mr. Adamopoulos, did you have something to add as well?
I just wanted to ask Dr. Gogan, I believe you stated that these changes were already vetted by legal counsel for the town at least.
Yes.
And if there's any conflict between the union contract at this point and this employee handbook, the union contract would obviously take precedence over this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Based upon
Any
that,
further-
I'd make a motion to accept the edits to the current employee handbook.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you pull the committee, please?
Member Naprata,
Yes.
Member Millet,
No,
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui.
Yes. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is approval of the fundraising organization Gridiron Club. Dr. Gogan?
Yes, annually, it's the school committee's policy to have any fundraising organization for the school be approved by the school committee. The Gridiron Club has switched hands and they have filled out their appropriate paperwork, and we're grateful for their efforts to help raise money for our football team. And we are just seeking approval of them as a fundraising organization specifically for Bartlett High School football.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the Gridiron Club as a fundraising organization.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you pull the committee, please?
Member Naprata,
Yes.
Member Millet,
yes,
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui.
Yes, the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the approval of district strategic plan, instructional strategies, vision statement, core beliefs, and mission statement for the 2021 to 2022 school year. Dr. Gogan.
Thank you. Annually, the district leadership team takes a look at our goals and what we're going to be working on, and we try to keep it simple and focused around teaching and learning. We have edited this to some degree to add the curriculum areas that we will be focusing on in a very simple way of stating our vision statement is really to make sure that every student is successful and becomes that we as a Webster school community make a difference for our students. And we believe that we can do that when we have common goals and objectives. And our goals and objectives are clearly written here: quality teaching, rigorous curriculum, and really working on ongoing improvement through the school improvement plans. This is the foundation for the work that we've been doing. So we're seeking school committee approval on this. This is what I will base my goals on. The principals will base their goals on. The school improvement plans will be based off of these goals for each school, and hopefully every teacher's goals or group goals will be based on the school improvement goals. We feel like when we're focused, we can really accomplish what we're setting out. And I think we've been doing that all along.
Thank you, Dr. Grogan. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the district strategic plan, instructional strategies, vision statement, core beliefs, and mission statement for the coming school year.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you pull the committee, please?
Member Naprata,
Yes.
Member Millet,
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui.
Yes, the motion passes. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is public comments regarding the COVID safety protocols for the coming school year. And I'm happy to see that there are some members of the community that have joined tonight's meeting. Thank you for making time to be here. We really sincerely value the input of parents and community members. And it's always nice to have people join these meetings and see sort of what goes on and how things work behind the scenes, so to speak. And just before we begin, I would like to set some sort of expectations for how we'll handle this public comment period. I think number one, we will ask that anyone who shares their perspective also share their full name and where in Webster that they live, so their address. And we're going to limit the discussion simply to the COVID-19 protocols for this coming school year only. We wouldn't be going backwards to talk about what happened last year or about individuals or other members of the team. This is strictly focused on the COVID protocols that are going forward. Are there any questions or comments from the committee or anything I've missed that anyone would like to help me out with before we begin?
I would just like to mention that in your school committee packet, there is a letter from the Board of Health Director from Webster. She was unable to attend tonight's meeting. So there is a letter from her to you.
Is that something that we should share for folks that are here tonight that may not have been able to see that, Dr. Gogan? I'd be glad to read it.
That would be great.
I just need to find it in my packet here again. Okay, here it is. Okay. So it's dated August 19th, and it says, "Dear school committee members, I must first apologize for not being able to attend such an important meeting. As you know, the Delta variant is 2 times as transmittable as the previous variants. Data suggests that the Delta variant may cause more severe illness than the previous strains in unvaccinated persons and fully vaccinated people with asymptomatic breakthrough infections, an infection that occurs despite previous vaccination and can transmit to others. During the summer months, the superintendent, her team, and I continued to meet multiple times a week to keep each other in the know of the latest numbers and guidance. Our hope and goal for the kids to return to school was to return with normalcy, We were hopeful until the cases were becoming concerning. The last week of July, there were 18 cases. August 1st until August 19th, there have been 60 cases. We have not seen those numbers since March 2021. To be transparent, let's start with some factual statistics of Webster as of August 19th, 2021. Only 55% of Webster has been vaccinated. May 20th to June 19th, there were a total of 16 cases. From June 20th to July 19th, there were a total of 7 cases. July 20th to August 19th, there were a total of 78 cases. Of these last 78 cases, the highest percentage were children 0 to 18 at 22%. Of these last 78 cases, 35 of them have been breakthrough cases. We all want what is best for our kids in Webster. We want them to receive the education they deserve and to be present to do so. We want normalcy and we want them to stay healthy. The best way to achieve this is by mitigating the Delta variant impact by starting the school year utilizing masks, hand washing, distancing when able, sanitizing, and supporting our nurses with continued use of the BioNext Now testing and routine COVID checks, so we can try to protect our children and staff during this continued public health crisis. As always, we will continue to monitor the number of cases and keep an open discussion on any changes that can be implemented, and hopefully we can reach our common goal of lesser restrictions later this school year. Sincerely, Jennifer Sullivan, Director of Public Health. Thank you, Dr. Gogan, for bringing that up. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee before we open this up to Webster residents? Okay, hearing none, I think the best way for us to move forward here, do we have a way to either, we don't have a raise your hand thing here. Maybe we could ask people to just put in the chat, like, you know, I'd like to share or something like that. And we can monitor the chat and allow people to speak as they come up. Otherwise, I don't want to have too many people over talking each other.
There is someone in the chat. Can you,
Okay. Yep, please, iPhone is what you're coming up as in the chat here. Would you please state your name and your address? We're not able to hear you.
They have
You're
to
on
unmute
mute.
themselves.
I'm not able to hear you still. Is there anyone else that would like to share?
Yes,
Okay, hi, could you please state your name and your home address here in Webster?
hi, yes, my name is Doreen Castillo and I live in 17 Westwood Road in Webster.
Thank you, Doreen. It's nice to
Hi.
meet you. If I can call
You
you
too.
Doreen, you can call me
Yes,
Kelly.
of course. Hi, Kelly. Hi, I understand that today that the commissioner met with the board of the DESE and he requested that the mask be mandated until October 1st for the whole Massachusetts state. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I'd like to know where the Webster Public School System stands with him and what will be the plan going on forward with that.
Can you clarify what you're asking?
So from what I understand was that the commissioner asked the board that he mandated the mask at least until October 1st. Whereas if after October 1st, if he could confirm that 80% of the students and faculty were vaccinated, the mask mandate could be lifted. Is this the rule we're gonna follow?
Okay, sure. And are you asking that of Dr. Gogan or of the committee?
Either, Dr. Gogan, I guess.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer it as of today. In July, at the end of July, we had moved ahead with our requirements that we would be wearing a mask. After meeting with our board of health director and analyzing the CDC and American Pediatrics recommendations. And from July until now, we've been watching the data on schools across the nation that have gone back without any masking. And what we are seeing is that there's a lot of students and staff having to be quarantined. So what we're aiming to do, and so during it, this is a moving target. We're aiming to continually look at our COVID protocols, but for the safety of our students and our staff, we believe mask wearing is one mitigation strategy that will help us keep kids in school and keep the learning flowing. So at this point in time, while the commissioner has made mask mandating a requirement, we, Webster, and I believe the school committee have made a commitment to continually look at our protocols to see if they need to be updated. But I wouldn't make a promise that that we would allow vaccinated people in October 1st, that we would reach the 80%. I will tell you that we have held several free clinics for students 12 and over with parent permission and to our community members. And the last clinic we held, there were only about 120 people that got vaccinated, and that was a mixture of students and community members. So with the latest data from the Board of Health in the letter that was read tonight, it appears only 55% of the Webster community is vaccinated. We also did discuss how to manage the knowledge and asking of who's vaccinated and who's not. So I can give you an example, which I think I gave at the last meeting. If you are in high school, you could say, we would collect vaccination, but students move from class to class to class. So how would we really track who wasn't vaccinated? And then I think there's this peer pressure with kids who aren't vaccinating, not wanting their peers to know they're not vaccinated and not wearing masks. And we also discussed, 12 and under, you could be in 7th grade and be younger than 12, but all of your peers could be 12 and vaccinated. So just managing that split in the middle school on who's vaccinated and who's not. I know it's hard for parents and other people who aren't in the day-to-day communication and tracking of who has COVID, who has to be quarantined, how much time, who was a close contact. But we've been doing this for a year and a half, and there's a lot of work in that. So the approach that we're taking is we are lessening our strategy, some of our safety protocols. We're not wearing masks outside. We are not fearing our students into wearing masks. They've been doing it since last year, and we had kids in the summer school wearing them. But managing that data on top of cases is cumbersome. So we're looking at what's not the simplest, but what's the safest. And I believe the CDC and the American Pediatrics have definitely recommended mask wearing for all schools. And now the Commissioner of Education in Massachusetts has. So in a roundabout way, I wouldn't personally make any promises come October 1st. We would have that designation of those who are vaccinated can't be masked. But I am committed to bringing this topic to the school committee at every school committee meeting for us to take a look at it to see where we're standing.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So Dr. Gogan, just to sort of parse out what you shared a lot of information there for sure, but it sounds like you ended with a commitment that our COVID safety protocols would be a reoccurring agenda item on all future school committee meetings, as long as that's a topic of conversation at any point, right?
Yeah, I think we made that decision at our last meeting that we would be revisiting things. And we're certainly not opposed to that, but I do want to point out that with the Delta variant, we don't really know what's going on. And so we have staff. I have an obligation to protect my staff and to also protect the students. So the mask wearing protects both. staff and students. And so, I know that everyone is entitled to their opinion. We certainly want our kids back in school. That is our goal. We want live in-person interaction this year. And we believe the mask wearing is one simple mitigation that we can commit to, and that will help us in the long run. Help us keep kids and staff safe and in school.
Thank you. Ms. Castillo, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So I see a question in the chat, but before we move on to the question from Jessica, I'd like to move on, and I'm sorry to refer to you this way again, but to the person whose name is showing as iPhone. Would you like to share?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Alicia Rockwood and I live at 2 Abbey Road, Webster, Mass. I have a child in Park Ave and in middle school. He's going into the 6th grade. I just have a couple of things about mask mandates. I am a registered nurse and I work at UMass Memorial. I could sit here all day and talk, but the biggest thing is with masks in the school, they need to have more mask breaks. My kids would come home and say, we didn't get a mask break today. We've kept the mask on all day. It is not healthy for a kid to wear a mask 6+ hours out of the day. Kids need that immunity. Yes, the compromised kids, they have other, they should be wearing a mask and whatnot, but I'm all about natural immunity. Yes, the numbers are going to go up during the summer because kids are they're back playing sports, they're hanging out with friends, teachers are going out in public, they're having social gatherings without masks. We see this all on Facebook, they post it all over. And then you want our kids to go back to school wearing masks 6+ hours out of the day. How is that fair to them? I'm very frustrated. I know a lot of other parents are very frustrated in this matter, and I just want you guys to be open-minded about, we went all summer, kids were hanging out with friends, they were playing sports, they were doing their things, all the teachers were doing the same. Yes, the numbers are going to go up, but has a child been in the hospital in the state of Massachusetts and have they died of COVID? They have not. I just want people to be mindful, and kids wearing masks, it's not beneficial for them. You have kids with speech problems who you need to see their mouth. You need to know what they're talking about. They need to see your lips. They need to know how to talk, and just, you're missing signs from kids who come from an abusive home. You're missing all these other things, and you're just worried about the numbers. I understand about the numbers, but they are not as bad as what they were before. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment or put in.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you have something more you wanted to say?
No, if we're going to go to masks, I understand, but they need to have more mask breaks. They can't be going outside with masks. They need to be able to take that off, to breathe, have multiple masks breaks during the day. That's all I ask for. I don't want the kids to be in masks more than 6 hours out of the day.
Excuse me, Sarah.
I'm sorry, just one speaker at a time, please.
Okay.
And your point is well taken. And, Dr. Gogan, maybe I'll let you respond to those comments regarding, being outside without masks and the frequent breaks and whatnot.
Certainly, we agree with you. No one should be wearing a mask for 6 hours straight a day. We know that children have a difficult time. Us adults have a difficult time. Mask breaks should be built in. We will reinforce that with our principals, and our staff are coming back tomorrow. And certainly outside, there are no masks for anyone. We're really cognizant of the fact that kids need those breaks. So I appreciate your comments, and I will pass them along. And, if there's an issue with your specific children wearing masks and telling you they're not getting a break, my recommendation is that you pick up the phone immediately and speak to the building principal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does that answer the questions that you had, or does that satisfy some of the concerns that you wanted to bring to us tonight?
The biggest thing is my kids always complain that they don't get enough mask breaks. There are certain times where masks are needed, but I just don't feel like it should be all day. They shouldn't have to, can they sit in the lunchroom with friends, or do they have to be segregated still? Those are the things that you want normalcy, but you need to start bringing that back into the school. You can't be having everyone face the same way, no talking at lunch. I mean, they're going to be kids. They're going to want to talk with their friends. They're going to want to have a normal life. And I understand that COVID is out there. Don't get me wrong, it's out there, but being a nurse that works in a hospital, it's a school. Parents should leave their kids home if they're sick. Don't send their kids to school sick. 100% I agree. If parents do that, there can be ways to not have to wear a mask 6 hours out of the day. That's my only complaint.
I'd like to add one comment, if I may, Madam Chair. The lunchrooms are social places and no one's stopping children from talking. The social distancing, we're not doing social distancing in the classroom because we want all the kids back and we can't fit them all if we do the social distancing. We will have kids facing forward, but I have personally witnessed the lunchrooms across the district multiple times, and our children are talking and socializing. And I have seen the kids outside gathering and playing without masks. So I want
That's all I ask for, is for it to be kind of a normal, they look forward to going to school. You don't want school to be a place where they don't want to go anymore because they have all these mandates. You want to make it, you don't want to bring, what am I trying to say? You don't want to make it seem like it's a horrible place to go, because some kids, school is what they look forward to. They don't come from homes, like some of their homes are not well established and whatnot. They have a working mother who's never there. People come in Webster, definitely, they come from all areas, and you want to make school a place where kids want to go.
We agree.
And having it all a normalcy.
I'm really thankful that you were able to be here tonight so that you could hear, firsthand from us. Some of the things that you're asking for are already built into our plan. But we certainly, I see Mrs. Parmley, I know that you have something you'd like to say, but I just want to reiterate that the frequent mask breaks will be something, it sounds like, that Dr. Gogan will be reinforcing, but not being masked outside was already part of the plan as well. And I'm really thankful again that we were able to sort of come together to hear your concerns and even maybe allay some of them already, and assure you that we'll be taking steps to make sure that the mask breaks are happening frequently. Mrs. Parmley, did you want to have an opportunity to say something here?
I did, thank you. And I do want to thank this parent so much for being willing to speak up. That means a lot, that, we come together and we partner. And I do want to put her mind at ease. Our teachers are giving multiple breaks throughout the day. They became just amazing masters at being able to do that in creative situations, being able to take them outside, also building in their snack break. And during lunch, definitely those masks are off. We definitely allow our students to talk with each other and to chat. We understand that socially, that's such an important piece for students to be able to interact. So we are excited to get our students back. I know our teachers are excited to get them back. And we're looking forward to an amazing year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Parmley. I had a comment from a Jessica asking about social distancing. Jessica, would you like to just give us your full name and your address and even maybe what school you're affiliated with, and let us know what you're wondering about? Are you still here with us, Jessica? Is there anyone else that has some questions or comments with regard to these COVID policies and practices that we're undertaking this year? Oh, Jessica, you're not able to unmute. Okay. Mr. Adamopoulos, do you have any other tricks up your sleeve? Mr. Adamopoulos put in the chat earlier, *6 on your phone, if you're on an iPhone, may help you to unmute. I see here, you've asked if social distancing was going to be practiced, but the question was answered. Okay, I'm glad we could clarify that for you. Thank you for making time to be here tonight. I see, Matthew, you have your hand up. That answers my question earlier about whether or not we had that feature on Zoom. Matthew, please, could you state your name, your address, and then let us know what you have to say?
Actually, it's Bonnie Cernicki, Matthew's mother. And I just had a question, and I apologize because I did not have a chance to read the mask mandate, but I know previously there was a behavioral and a medical exemption, and I didn't know if that was still in place.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something about that, please?
Sure. Could I ask, Bonnie, can you put your hand down? I'm going to keep calling on you. Thanks. Is that Ms. Castillo?
Yes, it is.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. So I did have a medical documentation and I presented it to the school nurse. And it was due to my son's excessive anxiety.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to interject because this is a public meeting that's being recorded and will be posted on the district website.
Okay.
So I would ask that any real specific individual questions that we take offline, I will be glad to talk with you. I'm sure, Dr. Gogan, you're nodding. I'm sure you'd be glad to talk with Ms. Castillo as well, but I would ask that you not share that personal information here.
Okay.
And I hope you understand it's out of respect for you and your child.
All right, thank you.
Okay. But please get in touch with us.
I will get in touch with, am I getting in touch with you?
Probably Dr. Gogan is a great place to start. You can certainly include me on an email if you'd like, but I think you're in very capable hands with Dr. Gogan.
Okay, I will reach out to her. Thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to talking to you.
Thank you.
Sure. Is there anyone else who has any comments or questions about all of this coming up? I'm not seeing any hands coming up. Please feel free to put in the chat as well if you have, something that you want to say. I have a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share with you all. That will buy you a minute or two to speak up if you have something you want to say. I just want to acknowledge how very difficult the last year or two has been for everybody, our kids, our teachers, all the rest of our faculty, the district leadership, parents. I'm a parent, so I certainly lived remote learning along with all the other parents, and I think that, we all had our own unique family challenges, whether it be work schedules or learning needs of our kids and that kind of thing. So no one's experience was the same by any means. But I do know, at least from my own perspective, I'm hoping that the Webster School District will do everything possible so that we don't have to go back to remote learning. And for me, I think the one thing that was even more challenging than the remote learning was the hybrid learning. It seemed like a great idea, but from my perspective, it seemed to me that it was even more challenging for the kids. And it looked more challenging for the teachers from where I was sitting in my dining room with my two kids. Not really sure, but I know that while the masks and all of these other protocols are inconvenient, and I think we all were hoping that we would be past it, this might be our best bet at avoiding something like what we lived last year. So, I'm thankful that, under Dr. Gogan's leadership, we were able to, as a district, come out with a plan really ahead of the pack, before many other districts had put their plan in place to let students and families and faculty members know what to expect coming to the school year. And similar to what we experienced last year, while we were at the front of the pack with making our decision, we were right on point with where everyone else ended up landing. So I guess I want to extend my thanks to you, Dr. Gogan, for your leadership and your foresight to predict sort of even, what's happening this week with regard to the restrictions that are coming into place. We all have already had an opportunity to go out and buy masks and start prepping our kids for what's going to be another masked first month of school, and we'll continue to reevaluate it. So I just want to extend my thanks and acknowledgement for how challenging it's been. And with that being said, is there anyone else that has any comments or questions? I'll open this up to anyone who's on this meeting, members of the committee, members of district leadership, other community members. Someone's asking if it will be reevaluated monthly. It will be reevaluated more than monthly because the school committee meets on an every other week. Well, I shouldn't say every other week, but on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. So it will be evaluated twice a month.
I will just remind everyone that we have a COVID leadership meeting weekly. So the COVID isn't something that we just talk about weekly. There are day-to-day events that do occur in our district where we are tracking down whether someone has COVID or doesn't have it, who was a close contact. And that happens behind the scenes. I will give a shout out once again to our school nurses who are masterful at making sure that we minimize any contagion if there is COVID. School hasn't started yet, but we have seen some COVID cases. So we are prepared. We have good protocols in place. So it may be reevaluated through the school committee on a bi-monthly basis, but we are in it daily, looking at our data, talking with the Board of Health, tracking what's going on at our schools. And I just want to tell parents that. And again, remind parents that we're here. I believe we have the same core mission. We all want the kids back in school. Believe me, we all want normal. And we feel the mask wearing is one small mitigation strategy, and we've lightened up on social distancing. Certainly outdoors, we will not be wearing masks, and we are committed to reevaluate, but the bottom line is safety.
Thank you, Dr. Gogan.
Through the chair.
Yes, Mr. Adamopoulos.
I just kind of want to circle back to how the first comment we had when we read the Board of Health letter. This is at least why I'm happy that uniform now through the state that there is going to be a mask mandate for at least that first month, so we can see if there's an uptick in number. I mean, we just go with the 78 cases here in Massachusetts. I mean, here in Webster, 45% of them were individuals that have already been vaccinated fully. That's a high number. 43 people, that's 78, almost 50%. The largest group that we've now seen present COVID positives here in Webster are school-age children under the age of 18. It's only 17 cases, but it is 22%. So I understand where the parents are coming from. I'm not a parent myself, so it's a lot different. I have a different perspective than sending a child to school. But I think having that 1 month now where we can at least see if there's an increase in numbers is important. I'm glad it's uniform. And if we look back at last year when we really saw an uptick in numbers here in Massachusetts, it was in the fall and winter time, because those are the months where people are inside the house. There's no more fresh air circulation with windows open or outside gatherings. So, I fully understand parents being, upset or they want more clarity. And I'm glad we're going to revisit this on a bi-weekly basis for every meeting. But having that month to at least see if the numbers are going to increase or how they're moving, I think is at least something that's going to be beneficial for all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Adamopoulos. Are there any other questions or comments from anybody at this point with regard to this discussion before we move on? Hearing none, I am going to move on. We have a transfer request from the Webster Middle School Student Activity Savings Account to the checking account. Is this Mrs. Perangeli?
Yes.
I do not have it, so it must be in the packet.
Okay, let me see if I see it. Sorry about that. Just a second. I don't see it. I see,
Number 18 in the numbered items.
oh, thank you. There it is. Oh, it's sideways. Isn't this fun? Sorry about that. So it's a request to transfer $5,239.48 from the Webster Middle School Student Activity Account to the Webster School Student Activity Account from the savings to the checking, I believe, from Webster 5 to the credit union. Sorry, my head's tilted because I needed to read that. Is there any background on this transfer request that can be shared with the committee?
Mrs. Peterson?
I'm looking through the warrant and it is a reimbursement for expenditures for last year out of the transfers so with school student activity accounts, you spend and you're replenishing the fund. It looks like there was some Life Touch for school pictures and some dues and just small items, some refunds for 8th grade class trip that were reimbursed that didn't go on from prior, and just some general reimbursements. So all
Thank you,
those-
Mrs. Tremblay. Sorry to put you on the spot there.
That's fine.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to transfer $5,239.48 from the Webster Middle School Student Activity Account at Webster 5-cent Savings Bank to the Webster School Student Activity Account at Webster First Federal Credit Union.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you pull the committee, please?
Member Naprata,
Yes.
Member Millet,
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui,
Yes. Motion passes. Any questions or comments about any other financial warrants or anything in the packet? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you pull the committee, please?
Member Naprata,
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Member Millet.
Yeah.
Chair Siddiqui.
Yes, motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone. Thank you for
Good night,
joining us
everyone.
tonight.
Good night.
Thank you.